Hey everybody, Matt Farnham here, Team Farnham Real Estate, and I want to give you a housing market update for Las Vegas, Nevada. What the heck is going on out there right now? I don't know if you're a home seller watching this or a home buyer who's shopping for a home, or maybe somebody who's just kind of on the sidelines watching what's going on out there with your family or friends. And listen, here's the headlines just today that came across my desk. The shift has begun, but the rate hikes won't be real estate's Achilles heel. Mortgage rates fall to 5.1%, the biggest drop since 2020. Pending home sales hits slowest pace in nearly 10 years. Home sales, home building headed for a slowdown. I've seen other headlines about affordability being at its worst it's been since 2006, even worse than 2006. There are so many headlines right now, so how do we make sense of what's going on in the market, specifically here in Las Vegas? And I'm going to be very transparent in this message to you and give you my personal opinion, my educated opinion, what's going on. And listen, I can't give you perfect advice, but I'm going to give you the best expert advice I can of what we think is happening right now. So I will tell you that firsthand, we help a lot of families buy and sell real estate. You guys know that. And in the last couple of years, pretty much everything we bring to the market, we build a plan. We have an incredible marketing plan. We know how to do it right. Everything's first class. We do a coming soon promotion. We put it on the market. We typically go live on a Thursday, and by Monday, we have multiple offers. We know how to leverage that, squeeze out the top, and get home run outcomes time after time for our sellers, usually new records in the neighborhood. And that's what we've experienced literally week after week for the last couple of years. I will be very transparent and tell you our last 4 listings that we've put on the market with the same strategies. We know what we're doing. We're the best at what we do. Our last 4 homes we brought to the market have been on the market between 7 and 19 days and have not gone pending yet. Speaking with other agents in town, this is pretty much the story. Other agents are saying they haven't even gotten phone calls on their listings. We're at least getting interest and activity and showings and so forth. So what's going on out there right now? I will tell you the sky is not falling. I do not think it's time to panic. I am concerned that there'll be sellers that get anxious in the, right now or in the next couple of weeks to come, and will probably end up selling their homes for less money than they should. I would just say, everybody calm down. Interest rates have changed dramatically since December. Rates are up about 2.3%. It's the fastest change in rates since I've been alive. But definitely since I've been in real estate. So it's just going to take a minute for buyers to get their mind around this. It cost a buyer, for the median house price right now, it cost them about $500 more a month to own that home than it did 4 months ago. For some of the homes that we have on the market right now, if they're pushing $1 million, it's $1,000 more a month, maybe more, to own a property today than if they would have bought it a few months ago. We have a client, a good friend of mine, who was looking at making a move. And just to give you one example, just as an example's sake, a $620,000 home, give or take, that we could have sold their home for, the purchase would have been around $680,000. So it's only a $60,000 jump in house. But when they looked at the payment, it was going to go from $1,900 a month today to $3,300 a month on the purchase, just because of when they bought that other home, what the rate was compared to rates today and the new mortgage amount. So there are a lot of sellers right now that want to buy and have been maybe in the market looking, that are coming to the realization that, wow, this is a really big change in our payment, and they may or may not move forward with that purchase. There's also buyers who started looking 2, 3, 4, 5 months ago in a very competitive market, have not been able to get a home yet, that are having to come with grips and swallow this big pill of these new rates. And until they realize this is the new norm, they're either not going to purchase, or they'll just bite the bullet and move forward. So to be honest with you, I think the next couple months are going to be a little bit wonky as we see buyers kind of deal with this conversation. And then everybody kind of sit back and see the world's not falling apart. Home prices are not going to crash and this type of thing. It's another conversation. And just to speak to that real quick, even Fannie Mae came out very clearly and said this week that this is not 2008 all over again. It's been way more responsible credit and lending. We are not an over-leveraged real estate market by any stretch. There's so much equity in homes. the equation is just significantly different than 2008. So we are not headed for a housing crash, to be clear. On that note, sorry I'm rambling, but this is all good information. I do think that we're having sellers that are going to have to realize that, you know what, looking at what your neighbor's home sold for maybe 30, 60, 90 days ago might not be a price today. I mean, in any crazy, up and down market, there's always a beginning and an end to when the real big ramp ups, starts, and when that kind of maybe starts to level off. And hindsight being 2020, it's very likely that maybe we've just kind of come out of that. So some of these February, March, and April closings, I mean, we've all seen some of our neighbors' homes sell for an amount, and we're literally scratching our heads like, how is that possible? Well, those are going to be tough conversations with sellers where we're going to have to explain, look, I know your neighbor got this 2 or 3 months ago, but that's just an example of one of those outlier comps or home sales. That timing was just that perfect storm, and it may not be possible today. Does that mean the market's dropping overall? No, there's just some outlier comps at the end of the run that are going to be hard to realize again in a lot of cases, I think. But keep in mind, home sellers, your home is still worth a lot more than 6, 8, 12 months ago. So it's not like you waited too long or missed the opportunity. It's still an incredible time to sell your home. And for home buyers that are looking at this rate change and this payment change, keep in mind, this is what you've been waiting for, not to compete with 10 or 15 or literally 40 or 50 other buyers on one property like we've been seeing for the last 2 years. Here's a chance where you maybe don't have to pay 20, 30, 40, 50,000 cash out of pocket above the appraised value, right? And keep in mind, the mortgage payment might be higher, but if a month ago you had to spend another 20 or 30 cash out of pocket to get that home, well, if you take $30,000 and you divide that by $500 a month on a payment, your break-even point's 5 years at that payment before it didn't make sense to keep that extra 30 grand in your bank account. So it's all perspective of how you look at it. Remember, the interest rate, guys, matters when you own the home for 10, 12, 15, 30 years, but your average American owns a home for 5 years, I think it is. So the more important thing when you're buying a property is the price, even more than the rate, of course. But so some other things I want to share with you is, yes, home sales are down. Nationwide, it's on track for an 11% decrease in home sales this year than last year. And it's expected to be another 11% next year in 2023, down from 2022. Keep in mind, I'm saying home sales. I'm not saying home prices. That is a definite big difference, okay? A couple of things to share is home price appreciation is expected to trend down. A lot. What I'm sharing right now is specifically from Fannie Mae, okay? This is their article I read just in the last couple days. And home prices went up 16% year over year from quarter 2 2022 from quarter 2 2021. So they're up 16% nationwide. Vegas is up higher than that. We're like 25%. Okay, but nationwide 16%. The expectation nationwide over the next year until quarter 2 of 2023 is 5.4% appreciation nationwide. So Fannie Mae is still expecting home prices to go up, just at a much slower pace than we've seen before. And keep in mind, that's a nationwide average, knowing that some markets might go under 0% and go negative, but some markets are obviously going to balance it out and be 7, 8, 10% appreciation. All right. The other thing I want to mention is Fannie Mae did make it very clear this is not 2008. I talked about that before, but completely different ballgame and standards than we saw back then. In that article I just said too, mortgage rates may have peaked. According to Fannie Mae and MBA, MBA is the Mortgage Bankers Association. According to those two organizations, they think rates may have already peaked, and essentially kind of saying that the expectation is that, yes, we know the Fed is going to probably hike rates and everything, but basically they're saying that in a large part, their pricing's already been baked into the market, where mortgage rates have kind of already accounted for the expectation of what's happening over the next 6 to 8 months or whatever. So the Realtor Association, though, is the only association saying they think rates are going to keep going up. So we'll see what happens. I would probably lean more with Fannie Mae and the MBA over what mortgage rates are going to do than the Realtor Association. But rates actually have just dropped twice recently. In that other headline I just said, mortgage rates fall to 5.1%, the biggest drop since 2020. So they have just come down in the last couple weeks, actually. So we just got to keep our eye on that. And I'm reading off some notes here. This is just really good information to share with you guys. Locally, just so you know, prices are still up 1.5%. from April to May. So May, at the time I'm recording this, we're still a couple days away from ending the month. But the median price in April for single family was $475 here in Vegas, and now it's up to $482. So still up 1.5%. Now I think we might see a different number next month as it's really kind of cooled off very quickly in the market. But inventory's up, okay? So just in the last 7 days, there's 140% more homes that came to the market than went pending. In fact, with home sales that we have available right now, I looked at some comparables today, and what I found is that every single home that we're competing with in each of these examples, meaning, if you have a single family home with a 1-story with a pool in a certain general area of town, the other 1-story pool homes in that area of town in that same general price range would be our direct competition. In each example I looked at, every single comp sheet showed everything available, nothing pending. So if you're a seller out there and you're just scratching your head, what's going on? It's not just you. It's just a wonky little time in the market. Just like when we saw COVID hit, right? When COVID came, everybody hit pause. Like everybody just kind of sat back and said, okay, let's just make sure the world doesn't fall apart. And then what happened? Everything flipped on a dime and the market went boom like that and hasn't looked back until, right now. I think that's really what we're looking at right now is, and keep in mind, these sellers who are realizing they might not sell their home to buy at these new rates, that's inventory not coming to the market, right? So inventory is not going to skyrocket up. And as long as inventory stays low, which we're still about a month's supply of homes, but as long as it still stays at 3 months or less, that's still by definition, by supply and demand, a seller's market, which means home prices can't tank when inventory is that low. Another big reason why we don't expect to see major price drops. Okay, could there be some price reductions? Of course there could. I mean, sellers might have to do what they have to do to sell their home while buyer motivation activity is slower, but that doesn't mean we're going to see the median house price just, the bottom fall out of this at all. That's not what's going to happen, all right? We talked about the difference in payment, so I wanted to share that with you. We talked about the difference, cash out of pocket for buyers, you might say. But then, sellers, listen, do not get crazy anxious and give your home away right now. I really think that just take a breath, let this kind of run its course. Could it be days or weeks? We don't know. We got to let it flesh out. But the sky's not falling, and just make sure you get a fair price for your home. But be realistic. You might not get the same number your neighbor got 30 or 60 days ago just because of what I explained a minute ago. That is what it is. But again, still, way better than probably 6, 8, 12 months ago for sure. So you didn't make a bad decision by not selling, a few months ago type thing. I wouldn't look at it that way. And then the last thing I would say is, there's other factors too. School is out right now. Everybody's doing their graduations and things like that. I mean, life didn't just stop. We just had Mother's Day. We're rolling into Memorial Day. So just give it some time. Let summer set in a little bit and people start house shopping again, realizing this is the new norm. This is where rates are, this is where home prices are, and it still makes more sense to purchase and own a home than to rent one. So that is a lot of information. I hope that helps just kind of sum up what my feeling is on the market. Of course, what I say is not gospel about real estate, but we do this every day. We're very close to it. We feel the activity, personally every day with inquiries and phone calls and feedback that we get from other agents and home sellers and buyers and so forth. So just hang in there, be encouraged. Vegas is the place to be, still a great place to put your money. And home ownership is something that we passionately believe in and always will. So any questions, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. I hope you found value in this, and we'll just have to keep, play by play, week by week, and see what happens. But I think everything's going to be all right. All right, guys, take care, and we will talk to you soon.